All right, guys, welcome back to another video. It's your man Jay. So a lot of people probably see this device and they're a little swayed by the processor. Why did I tell you? Obviously, for those that are tech enthusiasts, you know that this device's processor, the Snapdragon 480, is not so much a bad performing processor. It's actually a pretty good processor, and it performs very well under pressure, under load. For what it is. Now, I want to start with what I would consider cons first, or some things that you need to pay attention to before diving in and buying this device. Now, the price is important to a lot of people. And right now, if you're financing this phone and you're doing zero down and paying the small portion you want to pay per month through Verizon, that may seem like the more logical thing to do for someone. And that is how they'll probably get people to actually purchase this device. So right now, this phone is $300 through Verizon at full cost. And as a tech enthusiast, that's what I look at. But most people who walk into the store, they're going to finance this for 36 months at zero down and $8 a month. When you view it that way, that's actually a decent deal. But you have to. I want to start educating my followers and people who always say, "Well, Jay, I'm so happy you didn't just review the high expensive phones, or you just don't do quote unquote flagships." I want to educate people on value to consumer. So over time, obviously, I think this phone should be free if you start a contract with Verizon, because paying $300 over a 3-year period at $8.33 a month, it doesn't seem too bad. And while this phone will last, I just think there's a lot better options out there that you can grab for that price point, as far as like power and performance. And as a tech enthusiast, I'm always looking at that first, unfortunately. But if I'm going to look out for a consumer, the price on this is something that you should start comparing if you walk into Verizon next to other phones that you could possibly get for the same price point that might have better camera, because there's not going to be a lot of phones that have better battery than this phone. This phone has killer battery, and I'll get to that in a little bit. The software experience is great. Everything about this is just great. But the only kind of drawback that I found is just the price. It's a little steep for a 480 processor. And for the people that are not tech enthusiasts, that processor just isn't as powerful as some other processors, and it will bog down under load depending on what you're doing. But I got a feeling the people that are buying this aren't buying this to do heavy gaming and things like that. You're buying this to have a phone, and that's what they know. This is what Verizon knows. They know that you're going to get this phone and you're going to see, $8 a month, and it's going to be beneficial to you to save a ton of money per month. Well, I'm in agreement with them for that. But I think this phone should be priced really at about $150 full cost. Not because it's a bad phone or it's not worth it. Again, it's just that when you start to compare to other devices that might, be about the same price, even if it's a previous year's model or just another device, period, they won't have the internals of this phone, the 480 processor. So I would say the price is the only thing I found that was somewhat a little on the steep side for a 480 processor, because I think Nokia did this as well. They brought out a phone, I think it's the same price or a little bit more with a 480 processor. And I'm thinking, as a consumer, I want you guys to get the best deal, but I know you don't want to run around and try to find the best deal. Most consumers who are on contracts or they're going to their carrier, they're willing to pay this because it doesn't really affect them in a sense, having that $8 a month. So with all that being said, for the first 2 minutes or 3 minutes or 4 minutes of this video, the price to me is in question based on what's inside. So with that said, folks, the design of this device, let's get into it. The design of this device, it's beautiful. This is a great looking device, and it falls right in line with all the other flagships and all the other phones that are out today. This is what they look like. Ultimately, this is what we're looking like. Even the rear of my Z Fold 3, similar. If this was a slab phone right here, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference, and you would think the design was about the same. With the exception of the Pixel devices, obviously they have that newer design. But ultimately, this is the design language. And let me grab something here. Here is I got them in these cases, but this is the S22 and the S22 Plus. They follow the same design language, and that's what I mean. But I think that if you're looking for a good looking device and you want something that's appealing to the eye, this is one that'll please you. It's a beautiful device. You got the fingerprint reader on here. The hardware is nice and solid, no creaks or anything. When I twist it and bend it, it's just really solid. Now I know this is a plastic on here, but that doesn't matter to me because I think that overall this build quality is going to satisfy a lot of people. Now this has a 6.67-inch display. And it is absolutely gorgeous, as you can see here. So let me go ahead and turn up the brightness here. That is a beautiful, bright display. Just phenomenal. I think it's really good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a video here. Now, one thing that I haven't pointed out yet about this phone is it has stereo speakers. For the trail, it was just a beautiful wind, a breeze going. It was just absolutely fantastic. Just a perfect time. And again, that's another plus coming in on this affordable device. Most devices now can do stereo speakers at any cost. The top one is a speaker and the rear is the bottom is a speaker. So this is something to be desired when you want to watch content. I think this is really nice. The fact that I can feel it full screen like this and it looks really solid. You can watch movies on this for sure. Your Netflix, your whatever you're watching, YouTube, watching me on YouTube on here, I think it'll be great. But I just feel like this is such a huge deal, and it often gets overlooked when you talk about value to consumer. Having stereo speakers and having a beautiful screen is something that you actually should have now. And people always say the year, oh, it's 2022, this, and this. I get it, but you know, I feel like if we're going to push the consumer to buy something, it should at least have the stereo system, the stereo speaker setup, and it should at least be 5G. Now I won't talk about network yet. I'll swing into that next. But having such a beautiful display on here is absolutely great. Now, having the ability to get on Verizon's ultra wideband is actually great at an affordable cost. I don't normally talk about network that much, but at an affordable cost like this, when you start to think about the network, this is where consumers could possibly win. Again, I started with the con of the price before I shifted to hardware and design, but the network, being able to stream freely if you want to. And I'm inside my office, inside my house, and I only have 2 or 3 bars, and these are pretty decent download speeds for sure. But the fact that you can get a low-cost 5G device, we thought that this would never happen. I remember when things are happening, you don't know that they're going to happen. You're like, oh my gosh, you know, 5G is going to take forever. But nonetheless, 5G, being able to access their ultra-wideband is a huge plus. So I think that design, screen, 5G, those things alone should win people over. But cameras is something that's important to people now, and it seems like most reviews now are just talking about the cameras. Ultimately, it seems like that's all anyone's talking about is the cameras, and there's more to a phone than cameras. But cameras on a device do make or break some devices, unfortunately. That is just how it is. Some people rely heavily on their cameras, and this, in fact, has good cameras. And I wouldn't say they're the top of the line best cameras, but again, for a person who's coming in and they're paying $8 a month for this, they're going to say, man, these are some great cameras. That's what they're going to say. They're going to say, wow, they're going to be blown away, and they're going to tell more people about these cameras on this device. So that's important to note too. I think you should take note of that. Cameras are great, and I don't think you'll have a problem with taking photos of your children, the sky, whatever you want to take photos of, and you'll be okay. Now, performance is something that, again, that Snapdragon 480, I think that's something that when you talk about efficiency, which I'll talk about next for battery, the performance and software coupled with this is pretty much stock Android ultimately. And this is what you get. You get a smooth performing phone. It has 4 gigs of RAM inside too. And then you also have 128 gigs of storage. Plus you get an SD card slot if you need one. But nonetheless, this is a great performing phone. I have no complaints whatsoever. I don't know that my expectations are high for phones like this. And I think when you're doing something, you shouldn't have too high of an expectation on it when you're considering what you're spending. But I've learned that phones like this are a much better value to consumers than phones that cost $1,500 or so, because when you get down to the joining the entire package together, the software, the performance, the battery, this is where phones like this really outshine the so-called flagships, the powerhouses, the phones that are really, really strong on Android. Now, the iPhone 13 Pro Max is a phone that, most phones don't have as good a battery as that phone. Let's just call it like you see it. That's got to be one of the most powerful phones for battery I've ever used. When it comes to battery, this is a killer phone. This phone went about a week for me, and I think I got probably almost 6 hours of screen on time. That's fantastic battery, folks. That's killer battery. Your ultimate goal should be, how long can you stay off the charger? That should be your ultimate goal. It shouldn't be measured by screen on time. Now, I always tell you screen on time because that's what you guys like to hear. Majority of the followers, for me, I think, are tech enthusiasts, and they want to know how much screen on time you got. But in all actuality, you should want to stay off the charger, and your phone should always be there for you when you need it. I think that's the most important part of having a smartphone. You have to have the ability to leave your house for the weekend, or you should be able to leave your house for the weekend and forget your charger and still be okay. And that is where this phone right here comes in. Coupled with a great network, solid battery, a great network, great performer, really good cameras, beautiful screen, great design, and a not so great full cost price. It would have been nice, like I said, for a $150 price tag at full cost, but hey, these companies want to make money, and I get it. But overall, folks, this is a killer deal here for what you're getting. Don't be swayed by the 480 processor. Ignore me when I'm talking about because I'm always coming to you as a tech enthusiast trying to look out for the regular consumers. I think that's my ultimate goal. I don't want to just bring phones that cost $2,000 to the channel, because I don't want to sway you to do anything you don't want to do by my excitement. But I found that this device performs extremely well with no problems. The Fingerprint Reader is great. It even has facial recognition. It's got all the bells and whistles, and some bells and whistles that my current phones don't have. My Pixels don't even have facial recognition. Not that facial recognition is a must-have for me, but the fact that it has it on this little device, I mean, there's a lot of boxes that are being checked here for people who don't want to spend a lot of money. And then if a person does say, hey, I want to pay full cost for this Verizon, I don't want to finance it, they're still kind of getting a better deal than some phones out there. But you start to get really close to the Pixel 6 when you start to pay full cost for this and some other devices that are out there that are a lot more powerful with better cameras, decent battery, but a more of a current flagship type device, if that's what you might be looking for. So if you're on Verizon, hit the link down below. If you decide to pick this up, you can get it for zero money down. You've got a lot going for yourself. You've got facial recognition, you've got a fingerprint reader, you got great battery, you got a beautiful screen, you got great cameras, a beautiful design. You've got a lot going for yourself here. 128 gigs of storage, 4 gigs of RAM. Not that the regular consumers care about that, but that just means, I'm telling you, coupled with that 480 processor, you should be able to get some fantastic performance out of this thing. So just one con for this one. This is a winner, I would say. I would say grab this. And if there's an unlocked model that comes out, I definitely will recommend it to tech enthusiasts to give to your child, or use it for yourself. You don't have to be a tech enthusiast and use a $2,000 device to prove that you're a tech enthusiast, because I still carry a flip phone. Some people just don't believe me, but I carry a flip phone. So it's your man Jay. Hope you guys enjoyed. I appreciate TCL sending over the 30V 5G. Providing that Verizon service, which is actually really solid. Phone calls, everything is great on there. Aside from those download speeds that I show you, I'll close out on network. The network on Verizon is solid. I can take this phone anywhere and it'll always have service, aside from some other phones that I might have, like the networks. So I have all the networks. I have AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon. And this definitely is one that stretches the limits by going anywhere. And at least, if everything else is dead, this one will at least have 3G. So I can make phone calls, send SMS, and do picture mail and just do whatever. So that's a huge plus. So it's your man Jay. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next one. Lengthy discussion, but I think it's worth it for this device because 5 days on battery, that's killer.